This is the Shadow Man. On this channel I will give my opinion on many political and judicial subjects. In this first episode it's about the European Union. Now let's talk about the totally undemocratic and bureaucratic monstrosity that is the European Union. This institution is not supported by the majority of the EU population. If you look at the latest European Parliament elections with a pathetic turnout of 42.5%. And yet the head honchos want to expand. The parasites who sit in Brussels and once a month hop to Strasbourg to keep the French satisfied only sit there because the salary and benefits are amazing, and not for the people who actually voted for them. If they sit there for someone else other than themselves, then it's the lobbyists who undermine democracy on a daily basis. Let's talk about the totally irrelevant things that EU does. Here are a few examples. EU banned 100-watt light bulbs to force people to buy those horrible energy efficient crap, which are actually very harmful to make. The EU decided that, hey, you know what? Let's forbid vacuum cleaners that are above 900 watts. This kind of nonsense can only be taken care of if all the relevant problems are solved. But EU really doing its best to focus on irrelevant things, and then those bureaucrats wonder why more and more people are against it. EU is also severely undemocratic. The finest example is of course the EU Constitution. After both the French and Dutch gave the Constitution the middle finger, bureaucrats in Brussels made up another way to make the Constitution happen without any voting. They just changed the name to Lisbon Treaty, and that was it. Wiping their behind with that thing that is called democracy. The same is happening now with the ridiculous free trade agreement with USA. Everything is decided behind closed doors. Taxpayers are spit on by the EU politicians, and I have been in the belly of the beast in Brussels more than once, addressing a serious problem that's severely hurting families all over EU. Worthless EU politicians listened, said how awful it is, but in the end told that they have no authority to do anything about it, and wish me and many others the best. They're really only parasites in EU. A good example of it is a former Dutch Foreign Minister Frans Timmermans. He put a huge show after the MH17 crash in Donetsk People's Republic and literally secured himself a job in Brussels abusing the victims of that crash. And then we have the alcoholic Juncker, who damaged so much brain cells with his booze abuse that he started to dream about an EU army. There is literally nothing good coming from this institution, but it's absorbing more and more money for its ridiculous projects and ever so increasing salaries and benefits. Hopefully citizens of EU states will wake up in time to stop this bureaucratic monstrosity. This just came in. EU parasites in Brussels have reached a new level of arrogance. Their diplomats division is planning to spend over 3 million euros on a new tableware decorated with golden EU flags. The article in the Telegraph says as following. European Union diplomats plan to dine in imperial style by ordering a glittering dinner service that could cost as much as £2 million. The European External Action Service, the EU Foreign Minister, Foreign Office, will buy a sparkling array of crystal glassware, silver cutlery and fine china to host banquets and dinner parties for visiting dignitaries, and the Daily Telegraph has learned. The tableware to cater for up to 360 officials and guests of the EEAS, Brussels headquarters, and 140 embassies around the world, will come embellished with the flag of Europe, engraved on the drinking glasses and painted in gold on the top quality crockery. There are also plans to buy hundreds of silver ice buckets, drink trays and candle holders, and thousands of glasses for whiskey, brandy and champagne. The dinner service, which stands to be larger and nearly 10 times the cost of one recently purchased for the White House, marks the coming of age of EEAS as a fully fledged diplomatic corps. Created by 2009 Lisbon Treaty, it's headed by High Representative Federica Mogherini, a former young communist who became Italian foreign minister. The service has a staff of 3,400 and a budget of 793 million euros, 550 million pounds, and outposts covering the Seychelles, Australia, Canada and Kazakhstan. There's also a thing that the President of the European Council said in this article. Donald Tusk, the President of the European Council, yesterday warned that the surge of radical left and right was creating the conditions for revolution in Europe. It was always the same game before the biggest tragedies in our European history. This tactical alliance between radicals from all sides, he told the Financial Times. When the French monarchy reached the same level of arrogance, King's head ended up in a basket. Just a thing to mention. Thank you for listening. Speak to you in the next episode.